And welcome again to another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast. My name is Phil Thompson, and he is
Michael Gray.
Michael Gray is with us today. Steve Lacy is on vacation. Michael, how are you?
Great. I'm not on vacation.
No, you're not, and neither am I. But I'll take one here pretty soon. I'll head back out to Mission Beach. I think the end of May. I think the first week of June. Your dog wants to go on vacation, though, I hear.
Apparently, my dog does. Would love that.
Yeah. Oh, the joys of Zoom and working out of your home, which is great, actually. All right, so Michael, today we're going to talk about a topic that you and I know a lot about. If we're not experts, we ought to be, because of all the work we've done over the years of churches. Easter is coming up. And I think maybe Steve and I talked about Easter last podcast, but what we really want to talk about today is follow-up, because you can put a lot of energy in Easter, and you should, because Easter is a very popular time of the year for churches. Even during the pandemic, now that the vaccines are getting out, there's going to be people showing up in your facility or on your live stream, which we'll address as well. You can put a lot of effort and energy in that, but if you don't do follow-up, it's kind of a waste, right?
Yeah, a huge amount of man hours invested in prepping for Easter. You may have done marketing, you may have done invites, you may have done a lot of things involving a lot of people resources as well as financial resources. Yep. But it's a swing and a miss if we don't do anything to get them to come back again.
That's right. And so we're going to share some tips. But before we do that, we don't ever run commercials on the Church Solutions Podcast, but we're going to run a quick one here real quick, because we have some exciting news coming up. We've got a new product that we're going to be launching. It's actually unofficially launched right now. If you go to mychurchdaily.com, you can read about it. But this is something we're excited about. We're going to do a webinar on March 31st. And it's going to be 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time, March 31st. So circle on your calendar. If you happen to be listening to this podcast later, we'll have it recorded and you can reach out to us. But let's run the commercial here for this new product that we have out. So we'll run it right now and we'll enjoy it together, shall we? Hello, I'm Phil Thompson, and I've got something that might interest you if you're a pastor or a spiritual leader of a faith-based organization. It's called My Church Daily, and it's a way where you can connect with your members on a daily basis, helping them grow spiritually, informing them of upcoming events, and it works with this. This is a smart speaker called Amazon Alexa, and there are millions of these all over the United States and all over the world for that matter, and it's growing. Here's a quick example of how it works.
Alexa, play my flash briefings.
Here's what you haven't heard from your flash briefing. From Alive Church.
Hello, and welcome to today's reading from the Alive Church Life Transformation Bible Daily Discipleship Plan. We'll read the daily devotional as well as the verses chosen for today. Now we're up to week 10, Jesus' Principles for Prayer.
Nowadays, it's more important than ever to stay connected with congregation members, especially those who cannot attend church in person. And My Church Daily makes it easy by utilizing Amazon Alexa.
It's simple, it's easy, it's inexpensive, and we're doing a webinar to explain how it works. It's a no-obligation free webinar, March 31st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, and you can sign up on the link below, or you can go to mychurchdaily.com to learn more about it. Okay, I have to admit that Brittany looks a lot better on video than I do. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's hard to argue.
Yeah, it is.
We both are not quite fair.
We're not.
Brittany.
People say I have a face for radio, which was good because I did radio for 20 years. All right, so that's the webinar coming up March 31st. Sign up today. You can go to mychurchdaily.com and sign up for that. And we're really excited about this. It's going to be a great tool that you'll find out more about. So let's talk a little bit about Easter follow-up, because it's very important. As you said earlier, Mike, you can put a lot of energy and time and manpower into Easter, which is awesome. You should, because it's one of the couple times that you hear that people who don't normally go to church will consider it. And let's talk about how we can share some tips here on how to really have a great follow-up for your Easter. So I'm going to jump into the outline here that I put together, and feel free to add or take away. So the first point we want to make here when we talk about Easter follow-up kind of goes back to Easter, and that is you got to have a good experience for Easter. Otherwise, people aren't going to come back no matter what you do.
Yeah. I always try to tell my team, understand that people are walking into church, especially on Easter. Maybe they're walking into your church probably for their first time. So understand what their points of tension are. They want people to be nice to them, and they want to have a great experience. So we want to deliver that. So your greeters, have your best team out there that, welcoming people in an appropriate manner, that they will feel welcomed.
Yeah, absolutely. Greeters, reception, if you have a reception area or a welcome desk, you need to have that well stocked with friendly people, and also your kids area. A lot of these people are going to have families, and so your kids ministries need to be ready to go here. And I think it's just so important. And it's new people coming, but also I've noticed over the years that sometimes people that have not been, they've been there before, but it's been a long time. And it's important for them to have a good first experience. And also with the pandemic here, it's vaccines are getting out. A lot of the churches are lifting restrictions. And so you're going to have some people coming back because they've been gone because of the pandemic, and coming back for almost like a second time first impression, if I can use that term, is so important.
Second time first impression.
Second time, yeah. Normally you don't usually have an opportunity to make, another first impression, but people are going to be gone for a while. Now they're back. So I think you can work really hard to put some energy into making it a good experience for these people, the message and whatever else. There's a few things I put down that I always find challenging when I visit a new church. And that is, there's several things. One of them is you walk in a facility and the signage is just poor. And what I mean by poor signage is there's either no signage or it's vague. So signage being, where's the restrooms, especially at my age? Where is the kids ministry? Is there a welcome area? Well, if there's a welcome area, is there a sign that makes it really evident? We used to have back at the church you and I worked at, and this was, I think, when you were maybe in Oklahoma or whatever, when I was there in the 90s, we had a great kiosk that you'd walk in. We were on Prince Road, and it was right there, and it was excellent. Mm-hmm. I mean, you knew right away when you walked in, there's the Welcome Center. It wasn't a very big lobby. The only thing that was maybe a little bit of a downside to it was we had a gal by the name of Ani, which you probably never met Ani, did you? Did you ever meet Ani?
I didn't. I never did meet Ani.
Ani was really sweet. Ani was a throwback from when the church used to be part of a denomination, and she was really sweet. But sometimes you get a little cranky. And so I'm not always sure.
Not the best first impression.
I'm not sure at times that she was the best, but she was really good at taking information down, but you kind of had to do things her way. And look, I don't want to dog Ani because rest in peace. She was old back then, if I can say that word, and I'm sure she's probably no longer of this world. But so it's good to have the right people Yeah, it's the old saying we used to have is, make sure they're on the right bus in the right seat on the right bus. Because, if they're not, if you have greeters and people in your welcome table who aren't real friendly people, I'm not saying Ani wasn't friendly, but I'm just saying, she kind of had her little quirks, and, like she was 80 years old,
I just like how you're digging a bigger hole here.
I know, right? I'm just making it worse.
Along here.
I'm making it worse.
But point taken. Make sure you have people that look presentable and are friendly and outgoing, and those are your front-facing people. People like Phil and I, we're behind-the-scenes guys.
We are.
Want to hide us in a closet somewhere with some technology.
Yeah, we've gotten scruffier over the years. We used to. I've seen pictures of you. Well, I knew you when you were a little more clean cut, and you knew me too. So, but yeah, we've kind of let ourselves. But anyhow, so all those things are really important for the first experience. And then let's shift over for a little bit to the online experience, because you're going to have people online. If you're streaming video, and you should be still streaming even after this pandemic is over, is your streaming team ready? More than ready. They should be ready all the time, but especially with Easter coming up, are they ready? Do they know what's coming up? If you have a service where you've got multiple videos maybe running, you've got different people on the platform at different times, special music, special events. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there used to be a church here in Tucson that they would have they'd have like a zoo or something coming in. They'd have maybe that was Christmas, I guess, but they would have the manger scenes during Christmas and live animals. So I mean, probably not Easter, but for Christmas they did. So what I'm getting at is, does your streaming, are they up to date? And don't just brief them 2 minutes before the service starts. Should meet with them during the week, meet with them, or that was one of the nice things about what a live church always does, and that is has meetings before the service, making sure everybody's on the same page. Equipment-wise, make sure your equipment is good, make sure it's up and running, reboot stuff. Don't reboot before the service, but reboot at least earlier in the morning. And make sure your online hosts, people that are chatting with people, and you really ought to have chat, are up to date on what's going on and greeting people and friendly, just kind of as we said earlier. Very, very, very important to make sure your streaming is good. And then I threw here on a bonus deal, and I kind of got this. Well, I actually did this in my own church when I started a church years ago, but I noticed a live church, the one you used to be a part of, and me, years ago. You guys always kind of did some special activities on ground. When I say on ground, I mean, they're at the facility. You guys had jumping castles, right? Food.
Yeah, we did some big event type things, and we kind of shuffled that around, and it segues into what we're talking about today, and that's follow-up. We actually pivoted probably 5 years ago to doing it after Easter. So everybody came to church on Easter, and you said, hey, by the way, we're having a killer party next week with jumping castles and stuff for the kids and all of these things to get people to come back. Because that was our goal. Yay. Awesome. You had a great crowd for Easter, but get them to come back with something special.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's right. I remember that now. That always happened after Easter. One Easter we had at a live church, we had an event after Easter at a park, and it snowed. It snowed. This was like 1998 or 1999, I think. It snowed a little bit. Awesome. Yeah, here in Tucson, which, people listening to this podcast go, what big deal? Well, we're in Tucson, Arizona, so that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it feels like the apocalypse when it snows in Tucson.
It's crazy. But that's a good point, Mike, and I hadn't thought about that, but now that you mentioned it, that reminded me. Yeah, so, getting people to come back is kind of our next bullet point here in these notes. And so the special activities you have, if you're going to do them Easter, that's great. You could do Easter egg hunts or whatever, depending on where you're at on some of that stuff for the kids. But after Easter, it's important to do something to bring people back. And as you just mentioned, a big event is what we called it at a live church. But whatever you call it, that's a good magnet to try to entice people to come back. and do that. There are some little things I put in the notes here, little things which I think also mean a lot to people after Easter. You know what? We're real big on digital stuff, but people still will read a handwritten note that you might send them in an email. So if you're able to, and of course, we're presupposing here that you've got a connection card of some type, a communication card, a connection card that people can fill out either online or at the actually at the facility. So a little handwritten note is always kind of nice. And if you don't have that ability, you know, if you had somebody online or somebody who just gave you email, you can still write a personal email. You know, put their name on it and whatever you can do to personalize a little bit. Here's something that some people balk at, but I still think it's a good idea: phone call. I understand that most people will not answer a call that they don't know. I understand that. I get that. Yeah. But if they have voicemail, most people have voicemail. Yeah. You can at least leave a voicemail saying, "Hey, you know, thanks for coming. We sure appreciate it. Yeah. If you have any questions about the church, let us know." That sends a signal, you know, that you care.
Yep, absolutely, and you do, or you wouldn't be doing this. You have text message down next. That was one of my favorites. We really pivoted hard into that, and it's something that I rolled out. We had a team that as we gathered text numbers on Church Online, as well as people who attended live, then we had somebody actually who followed the service. Within the hour after the service was over, they got a text message.
Nice.
So urgency, the quicker you are to it, the more you can surprise people in a positive way. We surprise them often in a bad way, but we want to surprise people in a positive way. So we had somebody sitting back in an office, just, "Hey, so glad you were here. Here's what's coming up next week. Hope you come back." Or, you know, whatever that message was that was appropriate. And we really got a great response from that. Probably more than anything except the next item on your list.
Yeah. Well, just to talk about reinforce the text message thing, I read a stat. It's a recent stat that over 88% of the people read their text messages. Mm-hmm. So they might not read their email. They might not read the note you send. Maybe not, but there's a very good chance they're going to read that text message.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that's important. So, you know, something you could consider doing is giving somebody a gift. And there's different ways to do that. You could do it at Easter. You could do it the next time they come back. I know at one point, and I don't know what you guys did after I left, but I know there was gift cards like coffee to a coffee shop. Yeah. We had talked about at my church, like giving a first-time gift that was kind of minimal, but okay. And then even a better second-time gift and maybe even a better third-time gift, depending on your budget. Where were you guys out on that? Did you guys do something in that direction or not?
When they came in the door, kind of our enticing piece to get people to go to the info center or to fill out a connection card was if they traded their card, we'd give them a nice water bottle.
Yeah.
So, you know, in the desert, everybody needs water. Everybody loves another water bottle. We said, hey, you know, drop your card by. We have a free gift for you. That's first time you're in the door. Yeah. And then they got in the mail, and we had pivoted to a gift card to a local coffee shop. And we made sure it was enough to buy their premium drink. And we wanted to support somebody local as much as possible, local business. And so then they got that in a little, it was a card. So they got a card in the mail, like a thank you for being at church card. Right. And inside that was a gift. And those were handwritten notes by the pastor. Mm-hmm. And we always tried to also communicate anything that we gleaned from meeting them. So if I met them hey, Joe, it was great meeting you. Great talking about your sister, from my hometown,
Right.
you know,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
connection point then from a handwritten note
Right.
with a gift saying, I hope you had a great experience, and I hope you'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Those little things are important, and I know there's probably some people listening or watching us here, depending on the platform. I say, well, if they love God, they're going to come back. Well, look, I get that, but
Well, remember, they probably maybe don't love God yet. Our
That's a good
intent
point.
is to introduce them
That's a
to
good point.
that. And so
Yes.
that's not a very inviting attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think
We were all there at one point. Flash back to yourself. When were
Yeah.
you there? And I
Yeah.
wasn't very lovable, and I definitely didn't love God yet.
Well, I think and I think you need to see it from that perspective, and little things like that, they add to people, little gifts, little notes, they add value, and
Absolutely.
so I think if you're listening to this podcast here and you've never done anything like that, consider it. You don't have to do exactly
Absolutely.
what we're saying here. You could
Yeah,
come up with
make it
something
your
better,
own.
maybe.
Yeah,
Do something different, maybe.
absolutely.
But
Yeah, I know churches that'll deliver donuts
yeah,
to people's houses.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different things that you can do.
Yeah.
Caveat, I would say probably I don't want anybody coming to my house, and I don't really need any donuts.
Hide the beer, the pastor's here. Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah,
people coming
hide
in.
the beer of the pastor too.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but think in terms of what would you appreciate if somebody did it for you, just a small token, and then use
Right.
that as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you mentioned something just a little earlier about, when like with the text messages that, right away people sent out a text message, your staff did, which brings me to my next point. And that is with your follow-up, it needs to be timely. It really should be timely. And most experts will say, whoever they are, we're the experts here. So let's just quote ourselves here. You should probably do it within a day.
Absolutely.
24 hours, maybe 48 hours, but 24 hours would probably be best.
Yep.
A timely follow-up.
If you're mailing something, you want to get it before the weekend, right?
Right. Yeah.
The next weekend. So that's got to go in the mail first thing, Monday. If you're mailing.
Yeah. And I think
But
any
I'd
response.
say urgency when it comes to this, and businesses have gotten really good at this. A lot of businesses now, after you've made a purchase or something along those lines, if they have your information, you've got an email or a text waiting for you when you walk out of the building. And it's surprising still. It's like, wow, that's pretty impressive. They said, thank you for my purchase. And here's something great for your next time back.
Yeah. We have speaking of follow-up tools and timely stuff, we're no full disclosure here. We are a company that does streaming video, streamingchurch.tv, and we have a follow-up tool. In fact, you just did a little video on it that you sent to our admins this week, actually, and that is we have a follow-up tool that you could use, and it can be automated. It can be something that can be really whoever is trying to call you is now trying to call me. But you could, and they're not going to get us. But we have a tool that's kind of automated. Well, it is automated. You can edit the templates and you can make it sound like you want. But on Streaming Church, you can set it up so that people will get an email after viewing your stream. First, second, third timer, and if somebody was there once and didn't come back for a few weeks, they'll get an email as well saying, "Hey, sorry we haven't seen you lately. Hope everything's okay."
Yeah. So I think that's a brilliant system, and it's so easy to do. Just write 4 emails, and then allow the automation of that. Whenever somebody comes to your church online platform and signs into the chat with their email, then it automatically queues the process. Then they get the first email, and so on and so forth. And it's a trickle email automated system that just helps you create an opportunity to get somebody to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's less work on your part to do that with the streaming. So again, we've talked a lot about on ground stuff here. I'm calling on ground, but at the facility. But again, your streaming video is very important, and people coming back to view would be good. So as we wrap this up here, my fourth point is make it a great reason, or make a great reason up for people to come back. So you've done Easter, you've done a great job with Easter.
Yep.
Now give them something to come back with. You mentioned about having maybe a certain event, specific event with food and jumping castles that you guys used to do. After Easter, a new series would be a good thing to do if your church does message series, which you would promote on Easter and say, hey, we've got a new series coming up next week on something really relevant that's going on. It would be so important to get people to come back. You just broke something there, and you're a mess, which is why you work so well with us. But a new series would be good, something that would be, attract people, maybe something for families. If you have a lot of younger families coming, would be good. And then we've kind of already alluded to this earlier in the podcast, but, give people something to take home. Again, we mentioned, you mentioned people coming back with their connection card to a welcome desk and getting a gift, or maybe just something as simple as a flyer for the new series, or more information about the church, maybe more information about the different ministries you might have that would attract somebody to come back, and they might leave it on their coffee table for a couple of weeks, but they would see it and hopefully come back. But you want to give them a reason to come back, and that's very important to do this. So, all right, we're pretty much out of time here. Keys to an effective Easter follow-up. We hope this helps you. We're all about helping churches and ministries because not only do we do technology here, but we've all been involved in ministries at our church for many years. And so if we can help you in any way, please reach out to us, support@streamingchurch.tv. And don't forget, our webinar is coming up for mychurchdaily.com. That's the domain, mychurchdaily.com. I had to think about that for a moment. It's a webinar coming up. Steve and I and Mike will be hosting it, and it's a great tool that you could use, which I don't have it here, but Alexa it's a tool that can work with Alexa, a smart speaker that can actually help you connect more with your people, and we think it's a great idea, and we think it's a great tool. So don't miss the webinar, March 31st, and it's 10 o'clock Pacific time, and for those of you on the Eastern time, that would be 1 p.m. And there's a Zoom link that we have sent out, but if you go ahead and go to mychurchdaily.com, you can sign up for it there, and then we'll get you the information. All right, we're done here, Michael.
All right.
Thank you very much. And
great to be here.
Yeah, it is. It's good to have you here again. And for Steve Lacy, he's Michael Gray. I'm Phil Thompson. Please take care of yourselves. We'll catch you again next time on another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast.